have the right to this, you have the right to do this, you have the right to do that. And I am surprised that even a teacher in that school had to tell me that he was holding cake, holding like almost 6 different types of cake. The one that is long, the one that is thick. And he asked so many of them to also lie down. And he was plugging them one after the other, depending on the gravity of whatever offense you have committed, will determine the kind of beating you are going to get from him. And he was even calling the cane the husband of their mother. He said it in Yoruba. And I look at them, they were so scared that they cannot even explain what happened. Now, children need assistance, particularly from security operatives. Elsewhere, when children are affected negatively, what they do is that they call the police. In our own climb, it is even the parent that will be harassing the children with the police. A 5-year-old boy crying for biscuits. You will see the mother telling him, see police. Now, you grow up thinking that anybody in uniform is an oppressor, so you don't want to go near them. And that is why they keep on suffering. They cannot go. So I try to have interaction sessions with children, and I was even asking them, how many of you have shaken a policeman before? Out of 100, only 2 told me yes. And of the 2, one of them is a daughter of a policeman. Now, I now ask, how many of you have shaken hands with a soldier before? All of them just chorus. Soldier, how? There's no way somebody that I was talking to them individually, they were telling me that they don't even like seeing anybody in uniform, not to talk of carrying gun and all that. So with this kind of attitude, there's no way, whoever you hate as a kid, whoever you did not trust as a kid, you cannot suddenly start trusting the person now that you are now an adult. So that is why it's also very difficult when we have security challenges everywhere around us, because we are not used to talking to security men, operative, because we always see them, perceive them as oppressors. We have these challenges. And that is why it now takes security operatives, particularly the police, to start advertising that we are your friends. Your friend does not need advertisement, but it is because, your friend does not need, your friend does not need to advertise to you that is your friend before you know that this is a friend. But because of the long time harassment that we have suffered, of course, we don't trust anybody in uniform, and that is why the gap is always there. So that is another thing. I also discovered that despite the fact that we have laws that can safeguard the rights of the children, we don't also have where we are going to also make use of these laws. Where my focus was in Oyo State then, and I discovered that as at the time that write-up was ready, there was still no family court anywhere in Oyo State then. But I'm aware that there is 1 or 2 now. Now you can imagine only 2 family courts in the whole state. So if anything happens, there's no way you can have a family court where the cases can be tried. And family courts are always unique. In family courts, you don't have an high table. You don't have a low table. You sit down in a circle so that the children will not also feel scared. They will be able to tell you their mind and all that. I also look at the fact that there are a lot of information that is hidden from these kids. For instance, in UK for a very long time, they have been training their kids with this idea of what they call PANTS, PANTS, to tell them that, look, what is private is private. They tell them that they should be able to talk when they also suffer anything, and so on and so forth. In fact, they so taught them that you don't allow opposite sex to also handle your private parts. That it got to a time that they were having issues even when children, got to the hospital, and probably a male doctor is trying to attend to a female child. She will not want until they start another lessons again that, look, if it is some medical issues, then you allow. So these are the things, and we have a lot of issues with children here. The issue of rape is so rampant here that various interactions with people, police records and all that, so that it is just getting high day by day, to the point of even father impregnating their daughters. So if you cannot undo that insecurity issue from the part of the adult, then we can start handling it from the part of the kids. And by the time you start telling them, this is what to do, this is what to do. Not quite long time ago, some group of kids, pupils, primary school pupils, they came to my office, and I was able to just use like 2-3 minutes with them, telling them that from their neck down to their nail is what we call the red area, and they shouldn't allow any opposite sex to touch it. That's not even their father. Because our women, they do a lot of things now that they ask their female friends or partners or cousins or uncles to clean up for their daughters. And that we also discovered that that one has been causing a lot of problems. So these kids left the office, they got home, and one of them, an 8-year-old, just told her mother that they were told today that from their neck to their nail is their red area. They shouldn't allow opposite sex to touch it. And the mother was happy, and he said, that's good. Don't let anybody touch it. And the girl, 8-9-year-old, just said, but our teacher has been touching my red area. And then the mother got curious, and they was asking, lo and behold, it was the proprietor of the school that has been doing such nasty thing to the kids. So if we cannot really preach to the adults to desist from injuring our children, then we should be able to also upscale the skills of our children in the area of protecting themselves. The books also talks about what training can we be giving to them, that what knowledge that are teachable, that are learnable, and there are quite a number of them, including just the one I just said now, including even negotiation. That if you are in a trouble, you are in problem, you can negotiate your way out by probably cajoling whoever is going to be your potential attacker. And then by the time he gives 1, 2, 3 minutes, you can also seize the opportunity to escape from whatever problem you think is coming. Again, the idea of self-protection that is safe, that is teachable and learnable. The book is also canvassing that our kids will also know it, because you are still a child until you are age 18 by law in Nigeria. And I think a 17-year-old girl or boy should be able to escape from some form of attack if he has some lessons in self-defense. In fact, during my compiling the book, I spoke to security operatives, and the brigadier general told me that his son, a 4-year-old, is already attending lessons in karate, in self-defense, and all that. Yes, we will also tell them that they shouldn't deploy all these skills until if it is the last resort. Those are the issues that we have with children that we think that we need to also bring them to the fore, so that they know right from their childhood that they also have some rights that they can enjoy, including the right to their childhood. That there is one child labor form that we are not really taking care of, and that one came up when we discovered that we have some child-headed homes. The mother and father, probably they are somewhere. They only come home during the weekend. They would have also prepared so many things, food and all that, and put it in the fridge or freezer. They ask the eldest child, probably a 12-year-old or even 13-year-old, to be taking care of his or her siblings. Now, this 12, 13-year-old is also in secondary school, probably in GS1 or GS2. He or she will have to wake up very early in the morning, probably as early as 5, 6, to take his or her own bath. Then the siblings, then he will warm the food and all that. So you discover that he or she is already heading a home, and by the time he or she gets to school, he's weak, he's sleeping, and he or she has to also again leave that school as early as possible to come and start taking care of the home. We think that we are giving them training, but this actually is hitting deep into their psychological well-being without knowing. So we are trying to say that as much as possible, we don't also children to head homes. Quite a number of challenges were also identified that we discovered that when you, particularly with the issue of rape, when you have the issue of rape, you cannot even go ahead and prosecute diligently as we want to. Immediately it happens, you see community leaders, you see even parents try to say that they want to protect their children, their future and all that. And you see community interventions. They don't want it to happen. They will say that you are living in the same neighborhood, and we should not do things that will make us to hate each other forever, and so on and so forth. So it's a very huge challenge that we are saying that it is better we don't allow the children to be affected in the first instance, because when those things happen, there are things that you cannot really restore. For instance, if a girl is raped, even when you eventually catch up with the assailant or with the rapist and you send him to jail, it won't restore that human being. So that is why we are saying that all over our children should become more conscious. They should be more conscious to the fact that even when anything happens, they can really observe and give us quality information so that we can tackle whatever problem that comes out of it. But for instance, it is not enough for a child to say that your friend came home in the morning. Because money is too, we want them to be a bit more conscious to be able to tell us that, yes, he was here around 10 o'clock, or he was here around a quarter past 1, and so on and so forth. So they should be more conscious of their environment, so that if anything happens to them, the little information they are able to give us, we'll be able to process it and make sure that the justice is done, or in a situation whereby you are not even looking for justice, you are just looking for a way to get to the root of any matter. These are the issues that we put up in the books, and I wouldn't know if I've really addressed what the moderator want me to do, but to just paraphrase it, this is what I have.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Abodrin, for your wonderful discussion of the key points of the book. And one thing that stands out is the fact that these are really practical issues, that touches on every aspect of it. You spoke to exactly how there is a core challenge of awareness among persons, and this is actually what I want to engage you on briefly, without trying to repeat what you've said. So I'm looking at the child protection radial circle that you alluded to in the book, where you are talking about the multiple stakeholders there. And in going through the challenges that you mentioned, or you just touched on, and the ones I discussed on the book in terms of the lack of funding, what kind of interest people have in it, and it touches to the prioritization of even national budgets. What part of allocation is given to the care of the child, within our national budget. And if we look at our own context in Nigeria at the moment, you look at education. So when there are not enough facilities, for people to even use within the schools, for the core the core function of teaching these kids, how do we therefore extend to taking care of their security needs, providing infrastructure, security infrastructure in all of these places? You also reference technology, for instance. So in the schools where they lack seats, and tables for lectures. How do you now say you want to put CCTV cameras in some of these places, especially when you have, you know, challenges of security, especially in places like the Northeast, even not everywhere, even to go to from Ibadan to Lagos now is a bit of a challenge. So we need most of these facilities in all of these spaces. So what I wanted to really ask before we throw the floor open because of our timing is to say what in your own according to your own judgment is the level of awareness, you know, among the different stakeholders that you referenced, you know, when you talk about your child protection radius circle, the funding organizations, the NGOs, the security agencies. So, you know, one of the challenges that you also referred to in the book was the security operatives not being cooperative enough, apart from the community challenge and even the parents' apathy towards the mechanisms for justice in some of these, you know, in the society that you interrogated. So, what is the level of awareness? What is causing the lack of this awareness, and how can we, you know, try to raise this, create more awareness among the key stakeholders that you know are supposed to be involved? And I want to touch, yeah, and I'll just stop by saying you mentioned also UNICEF's tactical withdrawal. So if organizations that have their own source of legitimacy from such an organization as United Nations are trying to, you know, back off from implementing some of the Child Rights Convention provisions, then what is the way forward, you know, to ensure that these people know these rights and people are able to take ownership, you know, of protecting these rights? Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much. Yeah, I think the child protection radius circle is actually talking about everybody contributing to the security of the child, but leaving the child out. I mean, you are trying to help somebody that you don't also teach on how to help himself. That is what the radius circle is all about, and the link between the child at the center and the activities of the efforts that the child should put up is there's a broken link. Every other person is saying that, look, we know what to do. The caregiver, the parents, the teachers, everybody seems to know what to do. It's only the children that we have also left out. They don't also know what to do. And until we begin to teach them some courage, so that if anything happens, they will be able to rise to the occasion. Yes, the issue of budgetary allocation and all that, it's even beyond that. I discovered that one of the major challenges that we have concerning child protection is the fact that even security operatives, in their training, in their curriculum, there's nothing like child protection. The only agency that seems to be a bit near to it is probably the immigration, and they were really talking about the illegal trafficking and all that. Now, we see children as young adults. We don't also think that they have there's special need for them on the way we also handle them. For instance, elsewhere, when you want to talk to a child, you kneel down so that you be at the same level with the child, so that he or she will be confident to talk to you that you are the same level. But you are an adult, you have broader voice, and you are standing. So when you are also talking to a 6, 7, 8, 9, 10-year-old, he or she will have to start looking up. That one is enough stress for him or her to tell you what is right. So by the time we are conscious of all these things, it won't be very difficult for anybody to also, while preparing the budget, apart from the Ministry of Women Affairs and all that, while preparing the budget, while doing our things, including how we our public places, our vehicles, and all that, we'll be thinking of the fact that we have children. But we cannot start doing this until we are conscious of the fact that children need special need, if you really want them to, one, enjoy their childhood, and two, become a responsible adult. Whatever you don't enjoy, you are not likely to going to give it out. So what you don't, you can't give what you don't have. I think the problem now is because of the way we were raised. We don't really see it as, I mean, we thought it was the best way. And the modern way of raising our children, we don't really see much about it. So when we begin to become conscious of what is who a child is and what we should do to enhance him or her, then some other steps that we're going to take, including budgetary allocation, we will know how to be conscious of it. Yes, the issue of security operative is part of it. Like I said, for instance, in the police, you just have a juvenile OC juvenile or something. People civil defense, they just have a desk officer for children. It's not as if there was a special training during probably recruitment or whatever that they have been given, except for going for workshops once in a while and whatever. So they may not know. And that is why when you get to our police stations or civil defense or anywhere, they don't have separate cells. So if a mother and a suspect who is a mother, you just see them, they put them in the same cell with the child, or he's also the child is also in that environment. Now, the buster station, so many states in Nigeria today don't have buster station. So when a child, so to say, commit an offense, I said commit an offense. That's also not a language for when an offense, when a child commit an offense. I'm just saying it so that we will understand what we are saying. The language is a child in conflict with the law. He or she is not a suspect. These are not child-friendly languages. They are not child-friendly words that you say is a suspect. Yes, there could be a mistake. There was a case of a 13-year-old that actually was arrested. You also don't arrest children. You just take them to your custody, or you just say they should stay somewhere. So, and then they took the girl to court, and the judge actually sent, remanded the girl in prison. And there's no, in that state, there was no buster. That is where they keep children. So the girl had to be, it took the intervention of the Child Protection Network in Oyo State, I think, then, to go back to court and say that, look, this girl should not be in the adult prison. The worst that can happen is that if this girl would need to be in custody at all, then you send him to a buster. So it's a problem. When we are saying people are not complaining, I tried to interview a head of the security agency. As I entered his office and I asked him, and I told him, I mentioned that we are trying to conduct a research on child protection. His face changed, and he was just telling me that, look, I'm here to protect everybody, not children. So don't, when you are ready to ask, when you are ready for a better project, come and tell me. So of course I had to go back before we could have a headway. So the awareness, what you are doing, sir, is part of the awareness that we are trying to create. Of course, because of our past, if you ask me, as somebody who is also into security issues, if you ask me about the most challenging insecurity issue in Nigeria today, to me, is the unconsciousness of our people. People don't really know next to nothing when it comes to their own security, and they are not ready to also give information. We have been sloganeering. If you see something, say something. If you see something, say something. Yes, it is when you see something, it is when you identify what it is that you can really say something. There was a situation of a panel beater who took a battery from two boys. They were just 10, 12-year-old playing with the battery, and somebody gave the battery to them. And he wanted to take the battery from them. They said, no, they are not giving it. So he gave those boys 200 naira. He put the battery down. Almost not up to 5 minutes, smoke started coming out from the battery. Whereas probably the terrorists or whatever gave that battery to those boys so that they can go and detonate it somewhere. Now the panel-beater has seen something. He didn't say anything because he didn't even know what he has seen. So that is why, as children now, we want to. It's not as if we are not creating any panic. You know, we are not. It is not about being panic. In fact, the worst form of insecurity, the worst form, is the fear that you are not secure. That's the worst form of it. And they say the best form of security is the one you deploy yourself, is the tactics you deploy by yourself. So if you are always afraid, you won't be able to do anything. When anything happens, we are trying to say that people should be calm and all that. So when security operatives at times, they don't cooperate because many of them too don't really understand that there is anything special about the children. And they will even be, at times, they will even be the one that will now be the middleman between a victim and the suspect, talking about how they are going to also settle certain things and all that. Then, if you are so heady, probably your child is raped, and you are insisting that you want to go to court and you don't want to. We have some of them who will also get annoyed, and by the time they will write the charges, they will write it in such a way that you cannot prosecute that person for what they have. Somebody who defies somebody who rapes somebody, and you are charging him for public disturbance, that kind of a thing. I mean, it happens every now and then that the way the charges will be worded, the judge would not even know anything would not know what to do other than to just say, well, the case will not really see the light of the day. And by the time you are also going to court every now and then, and people keep on telling you about it, that look, leave this thing, you will just damage the name of this child and all that. Now the UNICEF tactical withdrawal that I alluded to in that book is about, yes, they are the one who set up Child Protection Network all over. It's their project, it's their baby. But after the initial donation of, I think, some amount of money, they didn't also give money again. Probably because, like some of the CPN members told me that when they started initially, they were having full house. You want to do meeting, you have 50, 60, 70 people attending the meeting, thinking that probably they're going to get some form of assistance from UNICEF in terms of training and all that. But when they discovered that those things are not forthcoming, they went back. Only a few people now who are committed to the ideals of child protection that are there. Don't also forget that, sir, that I said in that book that many people who are into child protection issue today, they are also not trained. And when you ask them, some of them will tell you that it is by calling. And whatever you are doing by just only inspiration, they say whatever you don't learn, when you say you are doing it yourself, do it yourself. That you are a perfect example of an unskilled labor. So if you are doing things that you are not trained for, mechanics are not, they don't do it by calling. Even what you are doing, sir, it's not by calling. It is, you have to go and learn what you do. When you don't also learn about it, and you see all manner of the NGOs, they will just pack children somewhere, and they don't even know what to do with them other than to just be raising money to say that we are taking care of children and all that. So that is the issue about tactical and the issue of radial circle and then security attitude. Some of the security attitude to it.
Thank you very much, sir, for your wonderful insight. I know that if we allow you continue on and on, but we have some questions, so let's just take it quickly. There's a question in the chat, but let me just summarize it. So it's from our friend from a Zimbabwean. She's a global citizen, so I don't know where exactly she's at the moment, but she works in intergovernmentalism with COMESA and SADC, that's the Southern African part of the continent. So she's saying that of the 16 countries party to the treaty, 8 countries have mandated the outlawing of child marriage in their constitution by 2012. And in 2021, another 5 countries have now done the same. This is about child marriage specifically. Donors such as Save the Children, UNICEF, and UNDP, IOM mandate their program funding, monitoring, and development accounts for child protection and safety. So it's asking within our own framework of ECOWAS, whether there's anything at the regional level, that specifically talks about bilateral or international interventions by stakeholders to ensure the adherence to the UN legislation. So is there like an ECOWAS protocol or something that talks to this? And if you could still speak on the outlawing of child marriages, which I think is important when we look at our own religious context. So if I could draw that a bit, I would like to ask, how do we balance religious adherence and religious dictates, especially when it comes to details of certain religious and even cultural practices and the protection of the girl child in this context. So I think we have two other questions. I think it's better we take them so that you can respond to the three of them. Yeah, so we have Lawal and Bernard. So Lawal can go first.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Philip. And thank you for the presenter. Yeah, your book has been quite informative. And as I listen on to a few things that has been said, and yeah, what I originally was going to ask, you touched on a few of them, but then I think I still mentioned some other one I noted. I know you would agree with me that the thing about the child protection and all, as it is with every security issue, is multifaceted. And then as regards advocacy, how much are we doing with regards to our local community, as in the role that they play, that indirectly because of ignorance, they are also enablers of different things that affect the child. Because most times, as you mentioned, the issue of abuse, rape, you see religious leaders coming to beg at the level of arrest of child molesters and every other form of abuse. But I know most of them just do it purely on cultural understanding of whenever we go to court, we don't come back to be friends and all. You equally mentioned what you've done by engaging the police and the likes of them. But then at the level of institution, how much advocacy do we still think we should do? And at the local community where the crimes do happen, I think people need to be sensitized to know much more about just covering things on the pedestal of family, and then if you go to court, you don't come back to be a friend and all, so that people would know the real damage that these things cause. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Lawal. Mr. Bernard.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Philip. Thank you, Dr. Ahmed. It was quite a wonderful presentation, but I have some questions and reactions basically. The first one is, I just still feel that the laws and probably the rights of children should be taught from the primary level. Let it be that it's part of them, and let it be that it's something that they get used to it. Not until, as we are now that we are old, we cannot even impart that on our children. Then secondly, you made mention of when children are being flogged nowadays, make them timid, make them fear and scared and all that. I want to ask, what has really changed? Because I know back then, Yashegun gives me slaps like, 247. My mom beats me and all that, and that has really helped me now. So what has really changed that children now, we cannot actually flog children, and they will, that should help them in the future. Then lastly, I feel that we cannot still leave out educating the parents on the rights of the children. We still need to continue so that one way or the other, because I'm looking at it that, okay, you teach the child on certain rights, he gets home, or he or she gets home and telling the mom, this is this, or the dad, and probably the parents do not know about that, and they tell the child, no, I don't think it's like that and all that. I think that's all for now. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bernard. We'll hand over the platform to Dr. Abodurin.
Thank you, sir. Starting from the issue of ECOWAS protocol and Child Rights Convention and all that, like I said, I know that all the child rights laws that we operate everywhere today, they are products of the Convention on the Right of the Children. For instance, the Nigerian Child Rights Act, it's like all the countries that signed the treaty, they are also domesticated that international law by reducing it to act. Like in Nigeria, we have the child rights version of it, which is a way of domesticating what is there. Then the inferior states, I think, if not up to the last time there are so many states now that have also domesticated even the Child Rights Act into child rights law. So the protocol is the same thing. It is in fact, there are some part of the Child Rights Act and child rights law that you just see it is a verbatim thing with just minor minor differences. Maybe that is peculiar to that environment. Now, the issue of culture and religion, I think people only try to hide under that to do whatever they want to do. What is our culture? What is our religion? There's nothing that is more dynamic than culture. I can see the somebody that I'm looking directly on the phone now, and even the moderator. I think our culture, even the way I'm dressing now, is also not the way I should dress like a Yoruba man. Probably the dressing is okay. Probably the cap is not the one that I should do and all that. So when we see things that are good, we copy them. We copy them. So nobody should hide under culture or religion to do what is not right. Now, no religion is saying that you go and marry kids. No religion has said that. People are only trying to hide under one or two things and do their misinterpretations of some issues. And that is why we're even having issues with religion everywhere. People will just pick an aspect that they think they want to use to justify their action, and they just emphasize it. Of course, whoever is saying that the religion has taught him to go and marry, for instance, a kid, probably that religion should also allow him to release his own kid for marriage. So I think it is more of wanting to do what people feel they want to do than saying that the culture has imposed it on them. There are so many cultural things that we have even dropped. And that will take me to the issue of flogging children. Yes, what Mama Asegun did, Mama Ahmed also did to me, and in fact, it is even left, right, and center. We grew up in a situation whereby when you offend somebody, and somebody is slapping you, another one is also returning it from somewhere, and yes, because we are lucky, we survive it. We can now say that yes, it has really helped a lot. I'm not going to doubt that. And I'm not, that one is not debatable. It depends on the angle. But we have also seen children who they kept slapping. In fact, it is not even head. It is not even head. It is at the back. That by the time she grew to adult, there was the need for her to go and do surgery. A lot of slapping has done a lot of damage to to her backbone. Of course, the percentage of those of us who survived was higher, but that does also not make it to be right. Now, come and look at it. Let us look at it this way. In our own part of the world, where we are so strict and we have been beating, we have been doing this, we have been doing that, this is where we have more than enough crimes. In those places where we think they are not really taking care of their children and all that, those are the places that people run to now. People run to now. You know the issue of what they have a nickname Japa syndrome now. We are running into places where we think they don't beat people. They are not really, they are not. Where we have been beating ourselves, we just keep on getting tougher and tougher and tougher by the day. And we can always review it. It doesn't mean that if it worked for us, it can also continue to work for everybody. Now, in those days, sir, when we were receiving slabs, your slabs is highly localized. In fact, your knowledge is so local that when you also check some of our proverbs, I'm a Yoruba person. When you tell your they will even tell you that when you steal the king's trumpet, there's no way you will blow it. Now, because when you also blow that trumpet, they are going to hear the sound in the next village, and they will know that this trumpet belongs to this particular Oba. Now you can steal the trumpet now in Nigeria, and the next 2 hours you are somewhere in several kilometers away and all that. So we have to also move with the tide and all that. I'm not saying that people should not. I know it's always anytime we talk about this thing, it's always controversial, particularly from teachers. But then let us also look at it. Are we really getting the results? We have a lot of people who are so. In fact, the way they behave like tyrants. When people are hugging themselves, you a lot of insult on social media. I watched one of recent where some 2 kids were hugging themselves. They are from particular part of the world. The other one just tried to tap the other one, and the one went and picked one big thing and hit that little boy on the head, depicting that is what we do in this part of our own world. So I think what I'm saying is that let us also moderate it. And let us find a way of, if they say, because it's a matter of law. The law says that don't harass them, don't beat them, don't do that. Whatever we are doing, it means that we will just be doing it under our rules. It shouldn't, it's not a matter of, we cannot really debate it because it's already a matter of law. Now, I agree with Mr. Lawal that we should really start teaching this thing from primary schools and other. You cannot give what you don't have. You cannot give what you don't have. It is very, very difficult for us now to really understand it because we are already old. And when you want to bend a dried fish, they say it breaks it. But then that does not mean that we should run away from the knowledge. We should just keep on having it. We are better than our parents the way we handle our children. We were not really beating them the way they beat us. I think it's reducing. But I'm sure that our own kids, when they also grow up, the rate of beating is going to also still reduce further. So when we start teaching them their rights and all that, now, when you go to school, you go to education ministry, they will tell you that the curriculum is already saturated. So they don't want to put it in the curriculum. Fine. What we do, the intervention we did in some places, because we're also talking about advocacy, the intervention we are trying to do now, and we are also asking people to join us to do, is to probably get 1-2 teachers per school, train them on basic things concerning the child rights, basic things concerning the child security, basic things concerning what they can do on their own. 2, 3, 4 minutes in the morning before they start lessons in the assembly, just say it. The day you want to talk about rape, talk about it 2-3 minutes at the assembly. Talk about it, let them just go. Don't, if you go and put it in the curriculum again, they will just be studying it. Particularly those people who cram things, they just do it to pass the exams, and that will be all. But the way to let it get into them really is by making it let it be known that it is very, very useful for them in their own future, in their own different endeavors and all that. So I think those will be my response to those questions and interventions.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dr. Abodurin, for your wonderful insights. And it shows that this is just beyond academics for you. This is what you have been living out in your professional life as well. And I love the fact that you're ending on a note that we need to review our terms of education in terms of dissemination of some forms of knowledge, especially practical aspects of this knowledge that goes beyond just writing exams, but what you have to live with on a daily basis. And I got a question from someone that was asking that in exploring all of these protocols, in exploring some of these laws, from your own research engagements, are there some missing aspects in terms of policy making or the intervention themselves that you think we need to, we need to include in some of these regulations, both locally and internationally? So there's also one hand up from Professor Lawani. So let's just take that quickly so that I can address both questions. Professor Lawani.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Phil. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, sir. Yes.
Okay. All right. Okay, Dr. Abodunrin, thank you very much for the contribution, not only for taking time to share your thoughts and to kind of give us a reappraisal of your book, but for writing the book in the first place. I think that people who are involved in wanting to share knowledge know how difficult or how daunting that task is. So I salute you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
In your response to the last set of questions, you mentioned something. I was going to stay silent and just enjoy, hearing your responses and enjoying the presentation. But I at first had something in mind. I was going to comment and ask a question about when Professor Jimo spoke earlier. But you now mentioned in your response that we can't give what we don't have. In Latin, we say that's nemo dat quod non habet. And so it now raises the question that how do we then train or raise the children in a way that is diametrically different from the way we were raised? Now, especially if we are hoping that the children who are more or less the harbingers of our future, we say that the man is in the child, the woman is in the child. If we're hoping to see that our societies advance and develop, how do we now get the children to be raised with the awareness of having a moderate level of superiority complex, not to always bow or defer to foreign or Western or Eastern influences as our generation has done? Matter of fact, I have colleagues who don't even have any indigenous African names. You know, someone's name is Emmanuel Solomon, Joseph Jackson. It's just a complete aberration of our identity. So how do we then raise these children to be productive in their own, knowing that they have the capacity to produce, to be just as ingenious as the children in the Western or Eastern world are, so that we are not constantly borrowing either from the Middle Eastern parlance or from the West. Matter of fact, maybe we'll not even have the problem of Boko Haram if we accepted and our generation was raised knowing that we have our own indigenous ingenuity. So how do we give what we don't have? How do we raise these children to be more productive than we've been? Just going from the point you made about not giving what we don't have. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, sir. I would just say there are no anywhere in the world, no society has a complete law. When we keep on implementing what we have, we keep on detecting what is needed. For instance, in federal child rights law that I've read, I discovered that they keep on mentioning police as in Nigerian police force, not in generic term as policing. They keep on emphasizing Nigerian police force. Now, people who are stakeholders in child protection, they are now so many, particularly the Nigeria Immigration Service, the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps. So those aspects, we have been recommending that if you really want, because you will get to court, and somebody will even start arguing that you should not even be there because you are not, your name is not mentioned. You want to win a case. It's not as if you are really looking for the society to be better. You want to argue your case and win it. So in the first instance, people can capitalize on that technicalities to just knock your cases out. There are so many missing aspects, but like I said, when we keep on using the law, we will know how to do it. In fact, if there's a place that I try to recommend that, look, if we cannot have special police for children, then there should be a special department in all security agencies, and including review their curriculum. People in the army review their curriculum on how do you handle the issue of children when you encounter them, probably during war, probably during crisis, probably during so many things. So if these things is entrenched in the curriculum, but as you are leaving the training school, they will also be part of you. So it will be very, very easy for you to also do it, to do the practical when you're on the field there. But a situation whereby you have to learn it on the field. I read somebody, an American soldier, who was in dilemma. He wanted to fire I think a 14-year-old boy or something. He didn't even know what to do, but he said this guy was holding a GPMG. He didn't even bother himself whether the boy can really operate a GPMG. When there are some threats that you don't look at, if a 2-year-old is saying that he's going to kill you with an AK-47, you know that he can only be willing to do that. He doesn't have the capacity. So, but during training, you would have been taught this. This is a child. This is what and what and what. So, and that will take me to the issue of how do we give it. Prof, I am sure we are all aware that the first professor was not taught by a professor. So the issues develop, they mature, they we keep on talking about it, and they keep on getting more matured. Even what we are doing now, one or two things that we have gained from what people have said, their contributions, they will also come together to make better presentation, better knowledge in the future, because we just have to keep on interrogating it, keep on engaging it, and keep on looking at the best out of it. Because if we left it untouched, if we don't discuss it, there won't be better knowledge. Nobody can really see this is 1 + 1 is equal to 2 answer to it. But as we keep on talking about it, ordinarily, until somebody analyzed the issue of a child headed home to me, I didn't also see it as any issue that if I have a 12-year-old girl, he should be able to take care of his 5-6-year-old if I'm away. Until we begin to also notice that, look, this girl will also not do well because she will have used all her time in preparing herself and her little girl or boy, doing adult job. So if we just keep on interrogating it, sir, so that we come up with a body of knowledge that will be better, that will be superior. But I know that, like I just said before I concluded the other time, that the way we were raised, I am very, very sure that it wasn't the same way we raised our children. So it will be coming gradually. It is not going to be something that we're going to sleep and wake up and we get it. No, it won't be. Just like it is with so many aspects of our lives too. It will be gradual, because it is just an imagined issue. It sounds hard. For instance, that if somebody is saying that you shouldn't beat anybody, it sounds odd. But I know that we won't be talking like this in the next 10 years. It will have changed. Even when you also hear it for the first time, it sounds odd. But by the time we keep on interrogating it and start saying that, and start thinking that what are they really doing differently somewhere, that we can, of course, we cannot take everything hook, line, and sinker from people's culture and put it in our own culture. It won't work that way. We have our own way of life, but we can really do one or two things that we can learn from each other. So my response to that will be that it is not going to be a straightforward thing that we do this and that is all. I will say that we keep on talking about it, and we keep on moving on, talking about one aspect of it, and we look at it very well. Look at the issue of what's it called now? What they call genital mutilation, or the issue of tribal mark. Some 50 years ago, if you are from a place, Yoruba land, and you don't have your tribal mark, people look at you as a bastard. In fact, it's a way of, it's an identification thing. But today, I'm not really sure there will be so many people that will put tribal marks on the cheeks of their children. We're not really saying that it is tribal mark is archaic, is barbaric. No, we are saying that, look, if we weigh it, what are the pros and cons of it, and what they call genital mutilation? If as I speak, people will tell you that if you don't also do whatever they need to do to, you don't do circumcision, it will make your girl child to be promiscuous, something like that. That is it is. But then research has shown that doing it will also be more injurious, and people are gradually moving away from it. Even if it's not going to happen, of course you are going to, except you don't also give your birth, you give birth in the hospital. There are so many things that they will not allow you to do there. So as we are moving on, it's not as if we are going to also condemn everything that people have been doing, but we can always look at it and see there are so many things elsewhere, sir, that they are also preserving in their own culture. Of course, we will also have them here too that we are preserving, but the one that we think will be injurious to our health, will be injurious to our future, will not do it. And like I was saying the other time about the localized slabs that we received. When we receive it, it doesn't go beyond that locality. Now, you do something to a kid now, to a child now, he gets to school, his colleagues are talking about what happens in the US yesterday. What happened? People saw how president, I think this present president in the US, how he was on one of his knees when he was talking to a boy. Now they have said that, and the people, these kids they begin to look at you as if that is the US president leaning down for somebody. Look at what our own people are doing to us here. So it's a global thing. Even when we try to say that we don't want to do this, we don't want to do that, our own children, they know. Just like, sir, just the way our children, secondary school children, will pick our phone now and do a lot of things with it. We didn't teach them. So if we don't moderate that knowledge, they will get it beyond our own imagination. That is where I will stop, sir. If we don't moderate it, it's like a dose. So we use it like a medicine. Like dosages. We give them the appropriate thing at the appropriate time. Otherwise, if you allow society to train them, they will train them in the way we may not really like. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dr. Abere. I wanted to find, our time is well spent. Thank you for staying this long with us. I wanted to ask whether Professor Jide Jimoh has like a final word for us before we wrap up, based on the discussion thus far. Professor Jimoh.
Thank you, Dr. Philip. Thanks to the author for a very comprehensive analysis of the contents of the book. And it also goes beyond the book. He explained also some of those cultural factors from practical angle, and what to do about them. My last word on this is this, that the need to protect the child, the safety, security of the child is a duty for everybody. And that there's a sense in which we must take it as in a way that we used to do things, a sense of community and a sense of commitment to a very serious issue in society. If you do at your own level, at your own capability, at your own capacity, and I do mine, I think the conversation will move forward and yield practical solutions. So thank you for inviting me for this interaction. Thank you, Dr. Philip. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Professor Jimoh, for that. I want to thank everyone for staying with us. Sorry about the initial glitches that we had at the beginning, but you would agree with me that this was a very robust discussion. I can go on and on till nighttime. Let me finish at the level of a personal, two anecdotes of my own personal experiences. For instance, I think we emphasize the fact that we inflict corporal punishment on people too much. I think one of the lessons I learned from my own mom about not eating out was just a look that I got while I was maybe in primary school. I met her on the roadside. I think I was licking mango or something, and she gave me a look. And anytime I still eat out, but anytime I'm tempted to like eat corn or something by the roadside, that look comes back often, you know. So it's not true that we don't also have, you know, some subtle ways of correction. I mean, I don't. Well, it's there for you to decide whether the look was subtle or it was passive aggression or whatever. But it wasn't like direct, you know, inflicting of pain, you know, and that's stuff stays with me, you know, to now. And finally, I also say I was in a bus, a small saloon car traveling from, I think, Abuja to Nasarawa to Lafia, and there were people that were discussing in the car about rape. You know, I think we were like 8. So it was like this wagon, this I've forgotten, space bus or something, and I was like the only male in the car, and every other person that was discussing in that car had one experience or the other, either from an uncle or from somewhere. Or so this for me, these are not like new issues, but they are only being made manifest in different ways because of the way the world is changing, especially with the affordance of technology these days. So I think it's important for us to not see it as a problem that is far off, but engage it as integral stakeholders, especially, you know, looking out for our kids and some other members. So on this note, I would like to thank you very much for staying with us throughout this event. Sorry if Friday is not a very good day, but we were able to pull through with this. We're going to start next year, perhaps the second week of January, with our first lecture. And I promise you that it's going to be a very interesting one. So in the meantime, I wish everyone the best, especially for the weekend. And I wish us safety and peace wherever we are in the part of the world. Thank you very much. And see you soon on some of our events. So yeah, bye-bye, everyone. Thank you, Saz. Thank you, Mars. Thank you, Saz.